recording that will basically come in quite handy for my friend. And I'm willing to go in person if I had to. Now, because of what the trolls put out there in their intentions, which were not exactly meant for good, I decided to put something out there that's going to help his ass in the event there was any problem. Now, it is truthful. What I posted was absolutely the truth. Nobody goes around bribing anybody, but I know somebody who does with 50K with their intent to want to bribe a prosecutor. Now, that's clear and concise on that one. On there. It's amazing how people can make something out of nothing when they don't know what the fuck is going on. So statements like this, and that's not the one I'm going to use, but nevertheless, if there was a problem, I'm going to make sure that his ass is covered, which is something that you have to do. And covering my own ass, because that's something we have to do also. Just to go post this thing around. Look, if I thought there was a problem of any sort, of having somebody deliver something, I wouldn't do it. When there's no ill intent involved, somebody has to make something out of this that it's not, out of desperation to find fault. So point being that some of your efforts to try to discredit people on YouTube, which not only is childish, but it's quite desperate and doesn't always work. He's not going to have any problems with his superiors as a result of your efforts. He's seen the video. Absolutely. First thing I did. He's seen that video. Now, when I posted that video, it was simply to prove that he's been over to immigration, that I'm not fucking around. No, he never went over there to go visit Mr. Jordan. That wasn't his intent to go upstairs and visit him. There's no intent at all. In fact, he didn't. Came there to deliver a copy of a court order for the goober to go to prison, which he's going to wind up in. I don't have any doubts about it whatsoever. Now, that video is an example of covering bases. He will utilize that video, or a separate video I actually did, and he will utilize that in case he does have any problems because of some nice people out there thinking that they're going to try to get a good man fired because you're posting and publicizing and making horrendous titles like somebody is doing something wrong. I'll tell you what, somehow that could backfire in your face. Now, I could tell you that he's not exactly happy with the Swampcast posting on there. I could tell you that. And whether they got the expertise or not to find out who's behind the URL, well, we'll see. We'll test how advanced that they've become in the Philippines. And he's in a position, he just might be able to actually do that. And that'll be interesting in itself. Look, you don't have to like somebody on here. No, you don't. There's people I don't like. You don't have to like everybody on here. But don't ever spread rumors about people, whether you get mad at somebody, you're calling them a pedophile. That's wrong. And that's being dealt with. But trying to label a man as somebody who's taking some bribery, no, he's not going to go, he's not going to take that very lightly, I'll tell you that. He's aware of all this, and I have no problems with this gentleman at all. And we're on good terms. But because of that, I'm sure it's piqued his curiosity as to who's been putting this on, okay? I don't know what their technology is these days in the Philippines, but probably more advanced than you probably know. So you gotta watch what you post on here. Now, sometimes we could post something that's very innocent on here, and people try to utilize it to their advantage. Oh, that never happens on here. Hell no. But sometimes that could work against you. Anyway, I made that video statement to put in his pocket if he ever had any problems. Not only will I do that, I will back him up physically. I myself, if I had to, certainly will testify in a situation if he got into any trouble as a result of that wonderful troll channel putting a title that this guy with his name is taking bribes. Oh, I could tell you firsthand, he's not happy with that posting at all. No, he's not mad with me. We don't have a problem. But I tell you what, whoever is behind that URL, I don't think you want to mess with this guy. I just seriously don't. I really don't. And that's all I'll say on that. Now, Barry Jordan has a relationship with the people behind the troll channel. In fact, there was even one time that he actually met up when he lived in another town with the person who was behind that troll channel. A little birdie told me something a while back on this. A little birdie told me. So it doesn't put him in a really good position at all. Now, whether or not the warden of the facility that he's in... Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. So, whether or not these people are going to be cooperative and send that note where it belongs remains to be seen. But if there's any kind of interference with that, and you can't interfere with a judge's order, I'll tell you that straight up front. You cannot interfere with a judge's order. You can't deny an order or pretend that it doesn't exist. Yes, it's true, there is a court order for him to be brought to the CPDRC. That might happen sooner rather than later now. Okay, this is going to be investigated. Well, it may not, but I'll put this right up front, that he's not a happy camper with this, never was. He understands the circumstances with the troll, absolutely. And he's seen the troll channel. And you gotta understand, a man will get concerned when it comes to his career that somebody puts out something on public media with the entitlement of the show as what it was. Now, in my situation, I put out a video simply of this man as proof to the jailbird that yes, there is a court order, and his court order is being delivered to the warden, in which it will be transferred over to headquarters of the immigration, because they cannot deny a court order. That's just the way it goes. So, in fact, this is going to be pushed forward to make sure that he does wind up in a CPDRC. Oh, it's going to be pushed pretty heavily if Mr. Henry, who has a lot of pull, decides to push this thing a little bit further. So, our friend in jails is kind of working against himself, is what he's doing. There you go. Now, my recording says it all. That's not the recording that I gave a copy to Mr. A. I got another recording that even gets into more detail. But this is a sampling of a recording that I'm giving to Mr. Henry. If he has any problem whatsoever, I'm behind him 100%, and he knows that. Not a good thing to post that. This channel opened up a can of worms that cannot be sealed again. And there is a correlation between the jailbird and the Swampcast channel with their communications to each other, and I know he knows who's behind that channel. So that could make things a little bit worse for our jailbird friend. Well, you know, shit happens sometimes. You gotta watch what you say. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, but he's certainly got my back, and this is going to explode into something that I don't think the jailbird is gonna like at all, because he is gonna be put into a prison. And if he can make it happen quicker, he's gonna do that. There's no question about it at all. I don't think he's happy with Mr. J at all. That's why he will, when the time comes for witnesses, he will be a witness on this trial. In fact, he insisted on being a witness. And the organization he works for excels in cybercrime. Couldn't have a better witness than that. Not at all. I'll tell you right up front that he will be a witness. I will tell you that much. And he will. So get out your ammo, because you're going to need it, pal. Let me tell you that. You pissed him off. He knows Barry's associated. No, he's not. He didn't create the channel. But he knows that Barry's in touch with these people, and he knows who they are. An elaborate scheme. Yeah, well, we used this thing, and maybe we could entitle it, thing with bribery. Oh, man, what a can of worms you inadvertently just opened up. Which kind of makes the jailbird situation, I think, a little bit worse. You don't mess with officials like that. You just really don't. Wrong. Wrong move. Excuse me. Wrong move, I'll tell you that right now. So I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, I will cover his ass. Absolutely. No question about it. No problem. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that recording. That's not the one I'm going with. I made 2 of them, but I got him in his hands. And he could utilize this anytime he wants. If he has any kind of pressure from above with his superiors as a result of what the Swampcast put out, his ass will be covered. I'll guarantee you that. He's not having any problems, but I'm going to back him up. In fact, I will push this whether there's problems or not, because he'd like to know who's behind that channel too. Whether a person's living in Dumaguete or wherever they might live. He found out. Well, good morning. Roosters are going off. Got a cool morning out here. Another day. You know, it comes to a point where you got to put your feet down and say enough is enough. And when you play with fire, you got to hit back with fire. Sometimes things work against people. That's a fact. To try to pull some shit here on YouTube, it does have a way of backfiring back in your face. I will tell you that much. No, I don't anticipate Mr. Henry is going to be in any administrative problems with this. But I will tell you, if there was, I'll be the first to let you know. But better yet, heads are going to float. You don't mess with a government official out here. I'll tell you that straight up. And you think it's funny, but he doesn't take things like this funny. Now, he's been aware of this video ever since the inception of it on the Swampcast channel. He was even sent the video from me with a full explanation of what's going on here. He's kept the video. I got screenshots, and I've got a recording of the video itself, which prompted me to do a video, which if he needed to use, he'll use it. If they need me to come in person, I'll be there. Drop of a peso. And we're going to push this issue of Barry every legal way that we can to make sure that he does wind up in a prison. As I said, this man has volunteered himself to be a witness in this case. Volunteered. Didn't even ask him. He insists on being a witness in this case. Well, I'm going to have to try to accommodate him. Have my lawyer file a motion to have him be subpoenaed as a witness. And I'll tell you what, sure ain't going to help Barry's case. It's one thing to fuck around on here, but don't try to ruin the reputation of a good man. That's the worst thing you could do here in the Philippines. Believe me, I emphasize, in the Philippines. You've got a family to feed. You're the breadwinner. You interfere with somebody's career. It's something that you don't do. Good morning, guys. That's one thing you don't do, is interfere with somebody's career. That is the worst thing you could do out here. I say there are worse things, but this is on the top of the list here in the Philippines. Trying to discredit an innocent person. There are no laws that says that this man couldn't deliver a document, period. There are no laws against that. That's exactly what he did. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want to emphasize how low people can actually get on YouTube, and this is a prime example of such. And it's going to be dealt with, and I'll help him deal with it. I'll give him all the information I can about the players on here, because he was never involved with any of the players, except in the past. In fact, this man was actually being used for the Fazio case that we were going to put against him. Well, that's who the person was they actually approached back in the day. And he's listened to the shows on YouTube, particularly this one goober. So he's quite familiar with him. Quite familiar, I must say. And he's going to make an excellent witness in my case. I can speak of that. Now, as a result of that Swampcast recording where he's labeling Henry as someone who's taking bribes, Bud, let me tell you something. I know you hide behind your channel, but in real life, you pull that kind of shit on anybody out here, and you made an enemy, I'll tell you that. People in official positions will go real far if they have to with technology, whatever it is they have to do their own investigation as to who's behind a certain channel, who says certain things on a channel. I know a lot of people hide behind their anonymity, they just don't want to be found out who they are. But who's to say that they don't have that technology? Who's to say? I don't know their technology. It goes to show you when people carry things too far. No, you're going to not interfere with his position. Hold on, I'll call it brass facts. Sometimes enough is enough. And I'll tell you what, I'm not doing many videos on here because I want to go silent on anything that has to do with the case in the future. YouTube is not a court of law. The real courts handle law, not YouTube. Prosecutors, judges, lawyers, etc. They're not on YouTube. This is real life shit. When somebody's freedom is in jeopardy. And that's okay out here. I'm outside. Sometimes you push things a little bit too far. It just backfires on people. But where somebody might be inadvertently trying to help the jailbird, they actually could be hurting him. Keep that in mind. Oh, that works for me. I don't have a problem with that. That works for me real well. But you don't spread rumors that somebody is taking bribes. I will tell you straight up. Not only has this person actually is involved as a witness in another case, he's the one that put this other guy in, had him arrested. So he's played part in my life on another case, still is involved. And he has no problem being a witness in my current case at all. Even more so now, he's insisting on being a witness. No illegalities going on here saying that he wants to be a witness. But I'm just giving the example how far this shit can go and how serious that I am in regards to this matter. Our friend, the con artist, that thinks he could get away with shit in life and he can say anything he wants because he believes that freedom of speech. Yeah, there is freedom of speech to a certain point, even in a third world country, but I think there's a dividing line. Oh. There's certain things you don't say or do on YouTube. Why this guy has charges against him. No, I don't think it's going to go very well in his situation. If you were to ask me a personal question offline, I would say that no, I don't think it's going to go in his direction at all. I'd be totally shocked and surprised, if the judge didn't throw the book at him, and a very heavy book. Time remains to be seen on that. Whatever's happening is, but I cast channel to do that. What they're doing is, I really don't know. Prior to Henry or anything, what they're trying to gain, number one, shows that they got a lot of time on their hands. That's for damn sure. I question that. I even question their sanity. There's a lot of insanity going on YouTube, obviously. Sometimes you put fire under people's heels sometimes. You gotta watch what you say. Now, I have a good relationship with this guy. Thank goodness for small miracles. Legal and personal. Because actually he's become somewhat of a friend of the family here. Sorry, kids are playing outside. And I consider him to be a friend. When you're trying to hurt somebody's friend, you're going to speak out about it. Now, that's not the statement that I'm going to be using in his defense, but that's one of them that I put together, that I will utilize if he needs it. I will also appear in person if asked, if something ever did happen with him. If any questions came up, we'll answer those questions. And as I said, it could backfire on somebody. So if you are inadvertently, because you don't like me, trying to help our jailbird friend, I'll tell you what, this could work against him. Because now he insists on being a witness for this case. He's insisting, and I'm not resisting. So sometimes it makes things a little worse for somebody. I'm all for it, because I intend to go on with this case. No matter how much money, I don't think I need to spend too much on this case. except for transportation. Again, transportation. Lawyers charge fees. They don't do things for nothing. So you're going to say that my lawyer is taking bribe money too because he has a fee to attend a hearing? I guess everybody's involved in bribery, huh? Really? Somebody performing a job, a lawyer, why not call him taking bribes too? Why not do that too? I don't put it past anybody on here. You're messing with the wrong people. I guess so. More to come, actually. Now, the reason I'm doing this broadcast this morning, I wasn't going to do a morning show this morning, but I came out with a statement that I have on YouTube. I think I just got it on private now, which a lot of people have seen. But I will tell you that if this man ever had any problems at all, I'm going to come to his defense like wildfire, which could prompt an investigation against this channel that calls itself the Frank Battaglia Swampcast channel. As I said, I don't know what their technology is today. They've come a long way, even here in the Philippines. And we'll see. I think it's wrong what they did. I think a lot of other people think it's wrong and they find it to be humorous. But I can assure you that he ain't finding it humorous. To turn something that was innocent into something totally the opposite. Nobody was trying to bribe anybody. Nobody was asking for money. He never asked me for money. I live over, 100 miles. You gotta go by ferry, you gotta go blah, blah, blah. I can't always jump into Cebu every time I have to. And I need some kind of official representation when something is being served. I don't think I could serve something myself out here. I don't think that works like America. You could hire somebody to, just off the street. I don't think that's normal. Procedure anyway, I don't know. Just goes to show you how ugly people can get, and sometimes you gotta get ugly back. Now, I know they have fun on their channel there, but they have no right to try to ruin somebody's reputation. Now, fortunately for this gentleman, he's well liked in his circle, and he has brought this material up to his colleagues, let's just say that. They understand what's going on. But in support of this man, they're not happy. I can tell you that much. Oh, he's not mad with me. We're okay. But it just puts more fire under his heels to want to volunteer and be a witness in this case, which I don't think is going to go well for our friend. I will tell you that straight up front. Well, Wide Eyes, people get carried away on YouTube. When I first seen that posting on there, now, all I did was, in my part, just as proof to show that a court order was being delivered to the warden of that facility. No, he wasn't trying, like the idiot said. He had no intent, and nor did he try on his bullshit statements that he wanted to go up and talk to Barry. No, that's not what happened at all. He had no need. He went and talked to the warden, gave him a copy of a court order for him to go to jail. And remember, let me remind you something. This is a court order from a judge. White Eye says that situation in California recently where the kid got killed by a YouTube stalker is changing laws now. Well, there's more to YouTube that meets the eye of the things that happen on YouTube. There's shit like this going on all the time. You just get to hear it every now and then. Not everything is publicized. There's people get killed on YouTube. It's not the first time, won't be the last time. I mean, this happens all over the world. You get girls that maybe get shamed by their boyfriend publicly because maybe he took some very intimate photos of her and he decided it would be fun because maybe she jilted him. He thought maybe it would be fun to post photos on the internet or something. And the girl would wind up committing suicide as a result of that. This is serious shit what you post on YouTube. It's really serious shit. And people are not taking it seriously. You don't mess with a man's life. It's one thing you don't do, his livelihood that he's worked hard for. You absolutely do not. You do not go there. I didn't hear about that one, no, but YouTuber, he got killed by a YouTube stalker. No, there's all kinds of mentality out there. There's all kinds of psychology out there. We got it right here in the Philippines genre. There's plenty of psychology out here. Shall I call it psychology? Sometimes you got to pay the price to what you do. Now, I have no problem offering somebody money for gas or whatever in their time to go, hey, want to deliver this? I live over 100 miles away. I can't be running down to Cebu. I want to make sure that this court order See, the way things work in the Philippines, I'll try to explain as eloquently as I can. When you have things like court order, this thing was like written up about February 2nd or something. I don't remember when it was. Things move slowly. For example, the warden of CPDRC did not even receive this order. Sometimes you got to grab the bulls by the horn sometimes. Oh yeah, people take harassment techniques. Sure they will. But sometimes you do have to grab the bulls by the horn. And you got to say, okay, if my lawyer's involved in another case right now, and he can't just run to every whim of mine, and he can't just run and do every whim of mine, whether he's been retained by me, I'm not his only case. There's sometimes you can do to help out on your own. There's nothing against the law of doing that, saying, hey, let's get this order where it should be. Let's make them aware. Let's let immigration be aware that there is an actual order for him to be remanded to a prison for the duration of his trial. And there was, and there is, from a court judge. So it's going to be a fruitless effort for these people from Swampcast to try to achieve what they're trying to do, because this is brought up front. Didn't waste any time with this at all. Now, the recording was made several days back. I put it in his hands, and I'm going to tell you something. Not only is he appreciative of that, but definitely going to have my lawyer file a motion to have him as witness in this case on his insistence of such. Not even by me asking him. He's insisting. If our friend there wants to push this, I do have video evidence of him. I will tell you straight up front. I'll even tell you of the particular video, and that's the one where he claims that he's on camera saying that he's going to make an attempt to bribe any prosecutor that's involved in the case with 50,000 pesos. That's pretty incriminating right there. And I will use that as another case against him, or an inclusion in this case. Bummer's fanboys are not going to do anything more than the uploads they've already done. Bill Watts is just making it worse for the Bummer. Well, it is. Guys, I'm telling you. There's things I could talk about and there's things I can't talk about, but I could easily and willingly talk about this. This is just proving how far people will go to try to discredit somebody, and he's the wrong person to try to discredit. He holds a pretty important position, I will tell you that. Wrong guy to fuck with. Wrong guy. I'm putting that lightly. Wrong guy. I think sometimes people push things too far on YouTube, and that's why they wind up in the position they are. Now, I have a pretty damn good idea who's actually behind the Swampcast channel. He doesn't post his own videos. He's not a regular, shall I say, YouTuber, per se, actually. He says, you're in charge with the right people behind you. You got that right. I got the right people behind me. We're definitely going to make a connection between him, the jailbird. We're definitely going to make a connection. I think he met these people in Moabwell once, in fact. Person, rather. Little inside information, whether it was true or not, I can't say for sure. But I'll go with information that I do have and work on it. Yeah, I walked on that a little bit, yeah. So, lesson learned here, YouTubers. You gotta watch what you say and do on here. Now, was I wrong for showing that video? Well, there was nothing illegal about what I did, but it was simply a video to prove that, hey, we're pushing this subject, we're pushing this situation on the court order to make sure it gets into the right hands. And unfortunately, here in the Philippines, the information system works very slowly. Paperwork, even subpoenas, it works very slowly. For example, where somebody gets something sent from a Cebu office to somebody living in Cebu, that can sometimes take a week. Now, if you live outside of the Cebu area, that could take 2 weeks to get paperwork from an office in Cebu. I know that. I experienced that firsthand. It's very commonplace. They don't have the quickest mail delivery, even on a express mail of some sort, you know. Even on express mail. As I said, the wheels turn slowly in the Philippines. It really does. But the job gets done eventually. You know, you get a hold of the paperwork, you're aware of what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It took a little while to get it, but if you got a subpoena coming to you, you'll get it. It may not be in the timeliest way or any important paperwork. You'll get it. But the only way sometimes to do it is to hand deliver it. Which we did here. Because quite frankly, the warden of this facility was not aware that there was a judge-appointed endeavor to remand him to an actual prison. They don't get this information. And sometimes the people that work there, it's just not maybe that cooperative, or they forget about it, or not important to them for some reason. They may not give it to the higher-ups. Sometimes you do got to grab the bull by the horns. It's unfortunate, but that is how it works out here. So to ever make any lame statement on somebody's show that somebody was involved with bribery, man, you better prove that. And you better hope that your URL is not somebody has the expertise to figure out who you are. Figured you could get away with just about anything on here. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether I know or not, whether they have that technology to figure out who's behind the URL. They could, but in his position, of all people, his position, if it can be done, it'll be done. You don't mess with somebody's reputation. Look, man, you don't have to, well, not the way they did, to say somebody was taking bribes. That's almost as heavy as calling somebody a child molester. And it's taken that seriously, too. That's something you don't do. No, that's something you don't do, to say that somebody's involved with bribery. Anyway, that's why I came on this morning. I wanted to discuss this. And just say that, no, I'm not happy about what they're posting. Because I happen to know this man to be a good man. He's a hard-working man. Try to ruin his reputation. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If there's any problem with that, I'll be right behind him. I'll be right behind him all the way. And maybe some other measures will be taken to put an end to this crap. But in the end, I don't think it's going to work out very well for our jailbird friend, who promotes the Swampcast channel, basically, historically. Say, man, when it rains, it pours sometimes. In this case, we got a monsoon going on with this guy. He wants his freedom and all that crap. I understand it. I'm not born stupid like some people. I understand. Freedom is valuable, but you reap what you sow. Now, for example, I'd never gone around, unless I know it to be true, that somebody tried to bribe somebody. Well, we already have a video of that. With the same goober that's in jail, we actually have a real video for that. Intent to bribe a prosecutor. 2 of them, in fact. One of them is on camera, and one of them is not, but it's verbal. Same voice and everything. They could probably use both of them. He's actually on a phone conversation. He was talking about how Ricky and the others should have just took that so-called free Barry J money to pay off an official. We've got that recording too. That ain't gonna look good. If he wants to fight dirty, we're not gonna fight dirty. We're just gonna fight stronger, not dirty, and present facts, not bullshit. There's no line that has to go on with this guy's case because it's very public. But keep in mind, YouTube is not a judge and jury. You may use things up for discussion, but it's not a judge and jury. The real judge and jury is in a courtroom. It's not on YouTube. I've knocked the smirk off this guy's face several times, and I'm going to continue knocking the smirk off his face in lieu of this case. I will guarantee you that. I'm as gung-ho as any man could be. I don't like being labeled when he tried to label me, as I don't like anybody talking about my parents in such a horrible way, calling my mother a whore, spreads her legs. Basically, he just fucked up things more for himself. All this extra evidence can be introduced into the case. Absolutely. Absolutely. A couple of thousand pesos here and there to write up the paperwork, that's not a problem. That's just him. You go with this as you will. when you need to do it. Certainly got my endorsement, that's for sure. No problem. So the idiot can post all the community posts that he wants. I encourage him. Not only do I find him humorous, but I find him very usable. You think that was right, Bill? Anybody wants to hone in on this? For Swampcast to put something up like that? Shit, what the hell did I do to these people? What did Henry do to these people? Nothing.
You're not doing the egg hunt?
Huh?
You're not doing the egg hunt?
Are you doing egg hunt?
Yeah, I got 50.
Are you found one?
Yeah.
Kid's doing an egg hunt.
Yeah, it's a 50.
What you got? 50 pesos in there. Wow.
And the guy got 500.
500?
Yeah.
Kai found a 500
Yeah.
in an egg?
Yeah.
Kid's doing an egg hunt this morning. On something lighter note here. Well, go look. You gotta go look. Go look. Go look again. Go find. Yeah, they're doing an egg hunt. Money in the eggs. They do that out here too. A grandkid who's here, he got a 50 spot. And Kai got a 500 in his egg. Maybe I should go look for some eggs, huh, boys? Egg hunts. You gotta love them. Yeah, they practice that here in the Philippines too, apparently. All right, so I'm gonna, yeah. Anyway, that's what I came on here to say. You don't try to destroy the reputation of a good man. That's getting really ugly. And it seems to be getting a lot uglier. That's why I'm not doing as much shows on here as I did before. You will notice that certainly after today. Because I'm going to handle my business quite privately instead of talking about this case publicly in any form or way. Whatever's planned for this goober, it's in motion and we'll proceed from there. Remember, YouTube is not a court of law. That happens in a real court with a real judge and a real prosecutor. It all comes out in the wash. And it will. Oh, it will. Where he was making some efforts that he thought would work with him, thinking people were actually working with him, but they were working against him. The very people who were buying their girlfriend's cell phones on donation money. That was meant for the goober. And that's a scream right there. Don't trust anyone. That's what I will say on YouTube. Don't try. You might think that somebody's your ally. They may pose as your friend, but, you know, beware of wolves in sheep's clothing is what I could tell you on here. Take everything with a grain of salt on here, but I'm still an advocate that if somebody does something to mar your reputation or anybody else's, you got to do something about it. I encourage anybody out there who's had a situation like this that bad that they need to take their own action. Oh yeah, it's going to cost you a lot of time, it's going to cost you a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of diligence. But if you feel strongly about something, strong enough, you proceed in doing what you need to do. And that's in my case, that's what's going on. It's not revenge, it's justice. A little bit different. It's justice. No revenge, it's not revenge. It's not Montezuma's revenge, but in a sense, you might look at it that way. It's not a pissing contest going on. This is some serious shit that's going on. It's not a pissing contest, I assure you. Tea time, my boys. Anyway, that's why I came on. I'm sure you read that statement, and that's an example of two statements that I actually have. One is a little more detailed, that I wouldn't make public, but it's going to name names, and it's going to put it this way. If there was a problem with this posting, and any questions were asked of this gentleman that put him in a bad light, I'll back up his ass to kingdom come. And I will assure you that. Sorry about that, gotta heat up some water here. If you have any questions, ask them. I'm going to end this in a few minutes here. But I'll leave off as saying, I take this shit very seriously because they're not only trying to ruin my reputation, but trying to ruin an official's reputation. And you don't do that here in the Philippines. I guarantee you don't do that here in the Philippines. I cannot emphasize that strong enough. Where somebody inadvertently is trying to help our jailbird friend, they're hurting him. Not hurting me. You're not hurting me at all. Not at all. Just making it worse for him. Because if they see any involvement with this guy, with the Swampcast channel, even a hint is going to go down on him a whole lot stronger than that, because then he'll make an enemy of an official, and you don't want that. Because they will take things legally as far as they can, and they got the backup for it. Oh, they got the backup. It's you against the authorities out here. And who do you think is going to win on that? Who? Take a wild guess. You know. All right, that's what I had to say. More to come. But I decided not to post on here regularly at all. It's also taking up a lot of my personal time. I should be on a treadmill right now. This is every morning I decide to do a show on here. And I wind up delaying it till later part of the day when it gets hotter. And there was a couple of times I missed 2 days because it was just too hot in that room to go on the treadmill. And I do this every single day. I can't break my routine, but that's not the point. I'm not worried about the treadmill or how often I exercise. It's a point that has taken up a lot of my personal time, and that there's nothing really more I can say or will say about this case. As I said, the courtroom is not on YouTube. Let's emphasize that. The courtroom is in the court where it belongs. So I'm not going to leak out any information about anything to do with this case at all. Let the case go on and progress, and where it goes, and what happens, happens. Either way. Because truthfully, I am in the driver's seat. You're on trial, not me. I want you to keep that in your mind, what's left of it anyway. And you think it's all funny and you like smirking and you like playing pretend on here. Oh, I'm having a great day. No, you're not having a great day. The weather's getting hotter. You're in a sweat box. Your life ain't going very well. It's not going in the direction that you hoped for. You see, you can't get away with everything in the Philippines as you thought you could, apparently, and you're experiencing that right now. Nobody's ever going to catch you in immigration because nobody cares. Well, you just spent officially 11 months in detention, part because of your crime, and that's what it is, of not paying your fees and fines, number one. 2, because you got 5 counts of cybercrime against you. You have been officially charged, not convicted, but that comes later. You are charged with 5 crimes. That's why you're still there till they can figure out what they want to do with you, but they regularly figured it out. For him to go to a place, as an example, the CPDRC, which is not going to be very pleasant. If you think it's unpleasant in some ways, where you are now, wait till you're actually in a prison. Tomorrow is Monday. It starts a new work week for the official system in the Philippines. The holiday will be over. Let's see what happens from Monday on. And I'm going to tell you, Swampcast, you pushed it this time. You really did. You don't have to like me, but to try to soil the name of a good man and label him, which you did, I think everybody will agree with me that's really wrong. And it's been noted, believe me. As I said, I don't know where they come with their technology. I don't know for sure. But I guess in time we'll find out. You think it's all fun and games making these videos on there. But one day information leaks out as to who you are and where you are. It'll be handled from that point on. I know they think it's really funny. It's not funny in the lives that you're trying to destroy because you simply decided you don't like somebody. I commented on Shaw's video and Barry replied they are definitely together. And of course they're together. They never broke up. Like that's a big surprise. Everybody knew that. That's just me. The guy's a chronic liar. You can't trust anything he says. Of course, we still question as to why the hell she's with this guy, but I guess everybody has their personal reasons why. Or maybe it's more business related. Maybe he owes the family money or something. The bike or loans for lawyers, I don't know, whatever. There's some kind of a utilitarian connection there. It would have to be, because I understand why would somebody want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have a future Besides other factors too, and there's a lot of other factors too of why everybody's scratching their heads saying, I don't understand this. I don't get it. Well, you don't have to get it, okay? It is what it is. But I think her relationship with him could reflect poorly on her someday. If she's worried about her family, with this thing in the Philippines, they carry it pretty heavy about shame in the family. Well, the more she kind of hangs with this guy, the more she's going to be shaming her family. I'll almost guarantee it. He's an absolute chronic liar. Okay, it's kind of all I really had to say. So, what was posted earlier, actually last night, is an example of a statement that I will use in his defense. Point being is that I will back his ass up to kingdom come, as well as he will for me. Because he knows who I am personally, on a personal level, not just on a legal issue where he was an arresting officer of somebody else. He's an arresting officer of somebody else. I know him very well. He's a good man. When somebody tries to mess with his reputation, man, let's just say that's not a good thing. Not an official that works in the Philippines. I'll guarantee you that. No. Yeah, you don't go that far. If we could tie Barry into this, we will. And there is a tie. He thinks it's all funny. Well, how funny could it be if he's been incarcerated for 11 months? It could be pushing a year, and God knows how much longer until the case or trial is actually over. And then if they come up with a conviction, how much more time he's going to have to be behind bars. I mean, this is serious shit. And he knows it is. He's sweating in that detention center. He's sweating. Psychologically, physically, morally. He's not having a fun time, so he gets laid once a week on conjugal visits. That's just going to show and be an example of what he's going to be missing when he's in a prison system that gets convicted. There won't be no cell phone usage. There won't be no Xbox usage. He knows that. And he's shitting his pants over this because that's his communication to the world. I'm not saying that there's no ways of him being able to get a hold of a cell phone, but they monitor this a whole lot more closely. They don't give a shit where he's at right now. Apparently they don't. Where he's at a detention center, he's gotten away with a whole lot of shit. I'm not going to say how he got away with it. I have a reasonable idea, but I won't state it on here. Because I personally, ouch, that's hot. I personally cannot prove it. But, thinking minds could easily come up to the conclusion of why that's happening. Because they were warned before that they can't do this. That he should not be using his phone for the purposes of what he's using it for. Any other jail situation, you would not get away with this kind of shit. I assure you, you would not get away with this shit. He managed to. And like I said, I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. But I'm sure if this will be an issue in the future, he could inadvertently be interfering with these poor people's job. They got families to feed too. Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. With a tangled web, he weaves. Let me try to transport this tea without burning my finger here. It's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Let's just put it that way to my viewers. It's going to get more worse than better. As I said, unless a divine miracle happened, he's not in a good position. And he continually does stupid things with his community posts, consistently and persistently. With his community posts that work all against him, it paints a picture of his character, of his true character, what's behind. All his community posts have been screenshotted, and a hard copy has been made of all his community posts. There is a point in the trial when you can get to present evidence, and what's outside of the original affidavit, the actually original discovery, can be introduced. Of course, the lawyer has to put in a request to do so. You can't normally just throw stuff that's beyond what was on the 5 counts in there unless you actually get permission to do so, and he will. Aggravated circumstances, you might call it. I know he's listening because he has nothing else better to do. Just hope it's an extra hot day there in Mandawi. I think the man is going to deserve what he gets. And I don't mind putting in the time on this. I don't mind putting in the effort. There comes a time in your life where you have to stand up for something. Boots on the ground. And there's not going to be any dismissal of the case for what I could see or even could possibly happen. I can't see how that's going to happen, number one. Number two, I'm not going to back out of the case. That's for sure. I'm not going to show any compassion for this man because he doesn't deserve compassion. Period. So he's got a lot of things to be concerned about. His own freedom. And like I said, he could be incarcerated for 10 years for all I know. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I just know he's already spent almost the best of a year just in detention alone. Then if he gets transferred to a prison while he's in trial, he will actually already be in prison without even being convicted yet. Then if he does get convicted, let's say at the time that he spent in Mandawi, let's say at the time that he spent in a prison awaiting his trial to come to a conclusion, who knows how long that's going to be? And then on top of that, if things are not bad enough, if he gets a conviction, how many years will they give him? 1 year, 2 years, 6 years, 8 years? I don't know. That's on top of everything else. And then, once convicted and served, will be gracefully transported out of this country and never be able to come back again. Forget about marriage, forget about relationships, forget about anything to do with the Philippines. It'll be done and over. Done and over. Okay, that's my show. I got this man's ass covered in more ways than meets the eye. We're not going to allow anybody to interfere with a man's profession in this manner. Bribery, no bribery. And he'd have to prove it anyway. So, he's not in trouble with his administration, but if something did come up, I will appear. And I will see our friend at the next trial hearing. And I hate to tell you there, Bubba, but it's not April 4th. How do I know this? Well, I have a reason to know this. It's not April 4th, but you go anyway. You go anyway. A little quicker than Bribery, but at least you'll be out of his cell for a little bit. Get out there, smell the air, bullshit with your immigration guards, whatever. Tell a tall tale. Okay, thanks for listening. That is my show.